Welcome back to Mindset Mondays and Mindset with Mike. I saw a statistic today talking about resolutions, which is fantastic timing given the fact that it's 2026 now. The statistic had to do with people completing their resolutions. And it said something to the effect of about 36% of people actually get through January with whatever their resolution is. So, whether that's budgeting, health and fitness, creating whatever daily habit that people have set forth, only a third of them, roughly, slightly more than a third, get to 2026, which then begs the question of how quickly do the rest of them fall off? What percentage actually make it through the year or even longer than January? And this is something important that I wanted to talk about. And I believe that the precedent is really set with, how we choose to frame our mind around the new year. See, so many people create goals and resolutions, and we've talked about this before about what a goal is, and if you have created goals or resolutions throughout your entire life, we have this tendency to not follow through. And about 90% of them, depending on who you are, it could be better, it could be worse. But I would guess probably 90% of the goals or resolutions you set throughout your entire life just haven't happened. A big part of this is the way we frame our mind, right? Society tells us, and has this stigma around creating a New Year's resolution, and that we should be setting our goals and taking those goals, and that's what we should be working to. The problem with that is we've already programmed our subconscious to actually believe that whatever we say we're setting as a goal or a New Year's resolution, we're not going to complete. We've done this by continuing to have those actions throughout our entire life. So the question then becomes, how do you fix this, right? And we all know that there's things that we should do. We all know that there's goals we should set or resolutions that we should set and that we should stick to. But how is it that some people stick to them and some people don't? As I said, a big part of this is how we reframe our mind around this topic. And this starts with our internal conversations with ourselves. Big part of this is not using those words. See, if you've told yourself for years, hey, I'm going to set this resolution, hey, I'm going to set this goal, and then you don't complete that, you don't actually achieve it, then when you say, hey, I want to set these goals or I want to set these resolutions, all you're doing is setting a hope or a wish that, well, your mind, your subconscious is going to look for evidence that it's not going to be completed because that's the way you've trained your subconscious for years. So the starting point in this is changing the verbiage, changing the words that you use, changing your words to results, outcomes, things like this, right? Outcomes and results, see, those are actual fruit that come from our work, right? Those are things that if we put in the work, they will produce, right? So when you think about that, you think about looking at like KPIs, your key performance indicators of your business. We look at these KPIs to see the results of the things that have occurred over, say the last week, the last quarter, the last 6 months, the last year, whatever it is, right? So when you set something, by setting a result, not a goal, not a resolution, by setting a result, you are programming your subconscious to say, okay, this is something that will be done, that can be done as a result of my work. So now you're already setting yourself up to be a step above and a step ahead of where you have been in the past. Now, the second part of this is reframing your mind around this. See, we have this mad dash all the time of setting resolutions, setting goals, and oh, we have to do it by the first of the year. And if you watch some of my other videos, I talk to you about, November, December, planning out your 2026. What does your Q1 of 2026 look like? Now, to be better than most people, you would have to have had this already set. However, the key here is doing what most people won't, right? Most people went out partying on New Year's. Most people went out drinking. Most people had this resolution or this goal that they set. So if you want different results, different outcomes, you have to actually do something different. So if you don't have your Q1 planned, now is the time to start doing it, right? I've talked to some people that have said that they are working through this month and using this month to really plan out their 2026, and that's completely okay. See, if in the past you've had this mad dash to just put something down and put down this resolution by the first and to toast it at midnight on the 1st of January, saying, oh, I'm going to lose weight, oh, I'm going to work out more, I'm going to go to the gym more, I'm going to manage my finances better, I'm going to set a budget, I'm going to do this in my business, I'm going to do that, I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock, whatever it is. If you've done that in the past over and over and over, and yet you still haven't completed that, then by changing the pattern, by interrupting that pattern, you're going to be able to change what your results are. So if that's been what you've done in the past, by you taking, say, hey, the next couple of weeks and slowly, really methodically thinking through what it is you want to do, build a vision board, put it on that in a public place. If you're a believer, it talks all of in scripture about how all things are done through two or more witnesses, right? So if you have your vision in a public place in your house, where either your spouse is looking at it, your friends, your family come over, they can see it, right? Now you're creating these witnesses to show, hey, this is your vision, this is what you want to do with your life, right? Additionally, you can work through these things, creating this vision board, creating the dreams and the things that you want your life to look like, how you want your life to look like, and then start setting how you want those to do, right? If you spend the next few weeks building that out because you haven't done it yet, then take the time to do it, spend the time to do it, and then build out the rest of what your Q1 looks like. By the time you get done with that and you build that out and we start to get midway through Q1, well, what is your Q2 going to look like, right? What does your vision for this year look like for yourself? Okay, well, let's take what's your vision for your life, what you want that to look like. Let's break it down to what can you do this year to get you closer to that vision. And then once you've broken down this year and what you can do in this year, let's break it down quarter by quarter. What can you do over the next month? What can you do over the next couple of weeks? What can you do this quarter to get you closer to that vision for this year that gets you closer to your overall vision of your life, right? Me and my wife spent New Year's with friends, much like most people did. But the difference between what has occurred in the past and what we chose to do was we sat there with few other couples and we built vision boards for our lives. And then over the preceding next couple days, we held each other accountable to building out our vision, our Q1, building out a checklist of how our Q1 is going to look, and ultimately how we want that to look, and the things that we're going to do to create the results we want. So now, here we are, right? Not even the first week into 2026. We've got a pretty good vision of our life. We've got a pretty good vision of our 2026. And we've got our Q1 already planned. Right now in business, we started this a month ago, 2 months ago, right? But even if you didn't, the reason I'm bringing this up is because we did it with other couples and we combined, some stuff that we had already planned with some new stuff that we chose to plan for this year. And we built that out in a way to where now we have a checklist of going down, okay, did I do this? Did I do that? Okay, as you accomplish these things, you build it out, right? And there's some amazing tools out there to help you do this. The point in this is, though, if you want to keep getting the same thing in your life over and over and over, then keep doing the same thing. Keep setting a resolution with a mad dash to have it in by the first of the year. And now, maybe if you haven't, now you're beating yourself up for not doing it. Or you set results, you set outcomes and results, and that is what you build your life off of. That's what you base your life off of. And then you break down what actions you have to get to, what actions you have to do to achieve those results.